Nine Brides and Granny Height, Chapter 5, Part 3. Granny caught a swift glimpse of Tuckalich as he fled past the lean-to, the blazing pine bough hurled. The flare burst with a roar. It blasted the heaped-up bed straw in the corner. Zelda screamed. She rushed to throw blankets. She was grabbed back. Surging in panic, the crowd ripped the door down. It fought its way out. The dry shack blossomed like a yellow flower, petals waving. Zelda hugged her small ones close, screeching others' names until all were gathered. A tall boy with one hand, a nephew named Ladislas, helped with wonderful coolness. With a boom, the roof fell in. Zelda straightened. She faced the throng. All is my fault. The chimney was old. I made too much heat. I pay kindness with this. I spoil the party and I almost kill my friends, she wept. Bide and the others stood jolted and mute. Perhaps some had seen Tuckalich throw a torch or suspected it. It was what they had come to do in the first place, though not with people in the house. Zelda's welcome had disarmed them. Now the marchers who'd come here to do ill were jarred and ashamed. Granny, eyes busy, read their heads as truly as the Lord and she had read their stomachs. Now they and she knew who had been the Cherokees. She pushed forward. The men seemed startled to see her. Zelda, you and the auntie and the children can go home with me. It's a small house, but it can always manage more. Start by yonder path. I'll follow directly. Bide Beckett, I want a word with you and the men. You too, Filler of AC, and you, Effie Tidney, every one of you, come close. She scanned their faces by the red glow. It astonished her how clear and how simple all things had become. It must be her new specs. The light of the pyre helped, too. Link Yawkey, you're a fiddler, and you, Lee McLeese, a dulcimer plunker. Your kin have lived here long. There's a ballad I heard you sing, Link Yawkey. Where did your foreparents dwell before they came here? Way, way before. What was that verse? Why, they lived across the sea. Link was always proud to recollect a ballad. The king has 100 castles, sing hey. The hunt's a horning. The king has 1,000 soldiers and Gallow High for warning. But over the sea is a new country, and we shall sail at morning. If I, said Link, had some kind of a fiddle handy. So, said Granny. The bell of an ancient fellowship was clanging now. With great sweeps, she marveled that they didn't hear it. Bide, Link, and Godlove. And Jim, here's what you're to do, she spoke tersely. Her tongue became a bramble switch. Its whiplash stung and bit. The men started to squirm. Sharply, she hushed their blether. You can do it. It was the way your forefolk and willing young hands don't forget. Go light up that dead tree on Peckerwood. It's in a safe open place. Blaze it high. Gather every last man jack in the holler. Finish up this night's work. Bide, can you be trusted to break all the bones in Tuck Annabelle's body if he don't do a double stint? Granny Height, that I can. She studied them. The bell was going like mad inside her brain. A bell of brave tidings, reading their faces. She knew they heard it too. Why had the holler been dull-eared to its beat? Satisfied, Granny left them and trotted after the Pilatskys, who were traipsing through the woods under the first gray light. She was glad they weren't crying any more tonight over that pile of ashes. Like enough they'd left homes in ashes before. That, too, the light of tonight's burned-down house had made plain to her. Please, God, murmured Granny, let them go on thinking this is a land where torches aren't flang a purpose. In cat track, anyway. To Zelda and her plodding band she chirped, No hour like the crack of dawn for walking. We'll make it right smart along for breakfast, and then a good snatch of sleep. Her feet were swollen, her knees hurt, but she herded them on. When they reached her house, it did her good to see how the young Grojeks put down dishes of sass, cups of milk, corn pone, big bowls of water-ground grits with butter stirred in, and biscuits and gravy, and blackberry jelly and watermelon rind preserve. Later, in the living room and sleeping room of her little double house, all were put to bed. Well after noon, she called them to another square meal. Zelda showed strain. The strength of the night before had left her. The party mood of hers was buried under the fallen roof. When Stepan comes, what will he say? All the hard work, it is wasted. All that we brought on our backs is gone. I did not keep watchful eye. Hesh your toot, advised Granny. After the hard night she was tetchous too. Eat now, set another spell, and we'll go for a walk. Walk? You're good for it if I am. When the evening shadows were on the hollow, she stirred them forth. Stubbornly she led them back over the path to the past night's stumble. Zelda was brave. They rounded the toe of the mountain and marched out onto the flat where the Peeler house lay in cinders. Granny's new glasses were on her nose, and her heart leaped at what she saw through them. Her faith in Bide and his crew had been sound. Across the field gleamed a brand new peeled log double cabin. 24 men were tidying up where axe and adze, saw and sledge, block and tickle had been at work since dawn. Bide Beckett was hanging the front door this minute. Tuckaleech Annabelle slung chimney clay up to Godlove Cornet, and Jim Hardy drove roof nails. The smell of venison and roasting corn blew from the barbecue hole in the spring branch, where the women and girls were busy. Link Yawkey on a stump was tuning fiddle. A figure came around the corner of the house, toting a porch plank. "Steppin'!" screamed Zelda. "We work all day," whooped Steve. "I find them at it when I come. There was a fire last night. They tell me you are safe, and they all help build a fine new house. What a country! What neighbors, Zelda!" Granny felt grand. One ship of the lot had sailed 200 years late, but the p'int was, it had sailed. From cove and ridge and bald, cat-track hollerers came trudging, totin', leadin', pushin' the gleanings of cabin, loft, and barn. A heifer big with calf, a mule wantin' one eye but a born worker, a jolt wagon, squealy but with a lavish of miles still in it, a cedar bucket full to the top hoop with plum butter, a setting chair of new oak that would last 100 years, a squirrel gun that only needed straightening, a poke of goose down, a spelling book, a pair of overalls, a work basket. Shyly the gifts were placed where givers wouldn't be noticed. Called Link Yawkey, rising from his stump and leading the way. "Gents, take your partners and promenade all. Foller me in." There's nothing like a rousing, stomping, balance and swing for settling a new floor. Granny moved to the doorway. "Form your squares." "Steve," said Granny, catching him by the arm as he went by with Zelda. "You tell your old one to get up from that hearth corner and shuck that shawl." "He is cold," reminded Steve. "The shawl never leaves him." But Granny's glasses had not been done observing. "His foot started tapping to the fiddle," she mentioned briskly.